Hey, how are you?
But because our technology is growing by leaps and bounds, computers can help us with a lot of household items for grown-ups as well as for the kids.
What are you going to use it for mostly?
Bunch of hookers and cocaine.
Since the beginning of time, humanity has always been fascinated with the creepy, the mysterious, and the unknown. We told each other horror stories around the campfires to entertain, moralize, and educate others about the dangers of the world. But when the internet exploded in the late 90s, it was only natural that a multitude of internet communities would arise around the topic of horror. The most famous or infamous, depending on who you talk to, would be the medium known as Creepypasta. These would essentially be horror legends shared on the internet. Famous examples would be Ted the Caver, Slender Man, the Backrooms, and the SCP Foundation. A particularly favorite one of mine would be Psychosis, a creepypasta that I actually covered as my second video on this channel over 2 years ago. The main purpose of these stories was to frighten and disturb the reader, but sometimes these stories wouldn't achieve their intended purpose. Many of these stories were usually written by teenagers who lacked writing and, frankly, life experience. They would contain ridiculous premises and show characters acting in unrealistic ways. These stories would bore or sometimes amuse the reader, transforming from horror to comedy. One such story, and the topic of this video, is Eyeless Jack. Eyeless Jack is one of the OG creepypastas, one of the first to blow up. Many people were obsessed with this story. They wrote their own fan fictions, drew their versions of Eyeless Jack, most of it just being Rule 34s, and would expand the lore to fill gaps in the story and offer the characters more depth and backstory. But while other stories such as Ted the Caver were universally praised for their suspense and storytelling, Eyeless Jack has instead faced criticism for its ridiculous and immature storytelling. The criticism was so bad that the writer of the story issued an apology.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
And left the creepypasta community in October of 2024. In this video, I'm going to summarize, analyze, and give you my overall view of the story, and explain to you how this horror story is one of the best and most ridiculous unintentional comedies ever written. So sit back and enjoy. Also guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment below on what you think. Also, please don't harass or ridicule the writer of this story. The purpose of this video is only to focus on the story itself and share a funny bit of internet history. The creepypasta was clearly written by someone who was a teenager at the time, and I'm pretty sure that we all came up with cringy stories when we were younger. It's just that we weren't brave enough to post them online. Now, one thing that's interesting about Eyeless Jack is that it's actually a very short story and usually only takes about 5 minutes to read. But these 5 minutes are, well, let's just say that there's something. The story begins with the protagonist introducing themselves as Mitch. Hello, my name is Mitch. I'm here to tell you guys about an experience I had. I don't know if it was paranormal or whatever stupid words people use to describe supernatural phenomenon, but after that thing visited me, I believe in that paranormal trash now. So right off the bat, we learn that Mitch has been visited by some strange entity that led to him developing a belief in the paranormal. Though he also mentions that he doesn't know whether it's paranormal and calls it paranormal trash. It's kind of weird that Mitch both commits to and doesn't commit to the idea of having experienced a paranormal event. He also sounds pretty nonchalant about the situation. Honestly, one of the main things you're going to notice in this story is that everyone just doesn't care about anything, and everyone just goes on like nothing matters. And this becomes a little bit stranger as the story goes on. A week after I moved in with my brother Edwin, after my house was foreclosed, I finished unpacking. Edwin liked the idea of me moving in since we had not seen each other for 10 years, so I was excited too. I soon fell asleep after I moved in. After the first week, I heard rustling noises coming from outside about 1 in the morning. I thought it was a raccoon, so I ignored it and tried to fall asleep. The next morning, I told Edwin about it, and he agreed. So right off the bat, you're going to notice that there are definitely a lot of grammar issues, and also the pacing of the story is really fast. And unfortunately, this doesn't really get any better as the story goes on. But anyways, in this section, we learned that Mitch is currently living with his brother Edwin because his house was foreclosed. Honestly, Edwin is a pretty solid brother for letting him stay, especially since they haven't seen each other in 10 years. Also, Mitch tells us that he took 1 week to unpack. I'm not exactly sure why this detail is shared. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like, what am I supposed to derive from this? His house got foreclosed and he took a week to unpack? I mean, is he supposed to be a bum? We also learn about strange noises being made outside his window at 1 in the morning. However, Mitch and his brother agree that it was probably just an animal. Also, it seems that Edwin and Mitch were both living alone in their own houses before and weren't communicating for 10 years. The reason for this isn't really explained in the story, and honestly I feel like there could have been an interesting way to connect this to Eyeless Jack somehow. Like maybe he was the reason that they were alone, like he kept chasing other people away and they just never noticed. But like most details of this story, it doesn't really matter and it goes nowhere. The next night, however, I thought I heard my window opening in a loud thump, as if something entered my room. I darted up and looked around my room, but I saw nothing. Next morning, Edwin dropped his coffee cup when he saw me. He held up a nearby mirror and I saw myself. I had a large gash on my left cheek. So Edwin, instead of just telling him what the problem was, first went out and found a mirror. That's pretty funny. After I was rushed to the hospital, my doctor told me that I must have been sleepwalking. But then he showed me something that made my blood turn cold. He lifted up my shirt to reveal a sewn up incision where my kidneys were. I stared into his eyes, mind widening. "You somehow lost your left kidney last night," my doctor told me. "We don't know how though. Sorry, Mitch." The next night was my breaking point. Okay, so something opened his window in the middle of the night and entered his room because it made a loud thumping sound. Mitch spends like 2 seconds looking around and just goes back to bed like, what? How do you go back to sleep after something like that? Mitch just doesn't give a crap. Then he wakes up the next day and realizes that there's a large gash on his left cheek. He's rushed to the hospital and is told by the doctor that his kidney has been stolen. Despite all of this, Mitch doesn't seem to have much of a reaction. And to top all of this off, he goes back to the same house and sleeps in the same bed. Like, we are entering DEFCON 1 levels of horror movie stupidity. Someone broke into your room and violated you. I mean, at that point, I'd rather be homeless in Crime Alley than return to that place. And also, I find it funny the doctor is like, "So yeah, you somehow lost your kidney last night. I mean, I don't know how it happened, sorry bud. I guess that's life. I'm sure you'll grow another one. Oh, by the way, here's your $10,000 bill." The doctor is acting as if it's just like a regular occurrence. Like, buddy, maybe call the police or something. It ain't normal to wake up with a gash and a missing kidney. Also, Mitch has a sewn up incision on his body. Like, Eyeless Jack went through the trouble of taking Mitch's kidney without alerting him or causing him any pain, and then sewed up his body to ensure that he survives. Also, we don't see any blood, so Eyeless Jack must have managed to keep everything clean. Like, this thing has advanced medical knowledge. I wouldn't be surprised if the doctor is Eyeless Jack. Maybe that would explain why he isn't worried about the missing kidney and why he isn't reporting anything to the police. So like I said before, Mitch goes back to Edwin's house because honestly, having someone conduct an advanced medical procedure on you in the middle of the night is a common occurrence around here. Like, how many kidneys are you gonna lose before you decide to move? Mitch, are you stupid? Did Eyeless Jack take your brain as well? Anyhow, Mitch goes on to say the following. Around midnight, I woke up to see a truly horrifying sight. I was staring face to face with a creature with a black hoodie and a dark blue mask with no nose or mouth staring down at me. The thing that scared me the most was that it had no eyes. Really? That's what scared you the most? Not the fact that there's a little demon on top of you? Just empty black sockets. The creature also has some black substance dripping from his sockets. I grabbed a camera from a nearby mantle and took a picture. Immediately after taking the shot, the creature lunged at me and tried to claw open my chest to get into my lungs. I stopped it by kicking it in the face. As I ran out of my room, I grabbed my wallet. I would need the money. I ran out of my brother's house into the night. I eventually ended up in the woods near Edwin's house and tripped on a rock. I fell unconscious and woke up in the hospital. My doctor, the same one who treated me before, entered the room. "I got good news and bad news, Mitch," my doctor started. "The good news is that you had minor injuries and your parents are going to pick you up." I sighed with relief. "The bad news is that your brother has been killed by something. Sorry." So Mitch now faces Eyeless Jack face to face. He looks it in the eye, I mean the socket, and takes a picture of it. Okay, so now we know for sure that Eyeless Jack is interested in one thing and one thing only, human organs. But for some reason he doesn't attempt an advanced, stealthy medical procedure this time, and instead decides to go for a more direct approach. Might be because Mitch woke up. Also, it appears that Eyeless Jack could be a paranormal creature due to his missing eyes, nose, and mouth, and the strange black goo coming out of him. But at the same time, the creature is wearing a hoodie and a mask, so we don't know for sure what it truly looks like. We also have no idea what the black goo is. If you're hoping for answers, yeah, the story doesn't really give them. This scene is the first and last time that Jack makes an appearance in the story. Also, the creature is never referred to as Eyeless Jack in the entire story either. It's either referred to as the creature or something, but never Eyeless Jack. So Mitch manages to take a picture and then runs out of the house. I do find it funny that the first thing that he does is take a picture. Like, he doesn't even try to yell or warn Edwin, but manages to take a picture and grab his wallet. I mean, I guess he's gonna need that for a motel maybe. Maybe he can also sell that picture to the Daily Bugle for more money. He runs into the woods, trips and falls unconscious and ends up in the hospital again. We have no idea how he got to the hospital because he was alone in the woods, but regardless, he meets the same doctor from before who tells him that he has good news and bad news. The good news is that there's no major injuries and that his parents are coming to pick him up. But the bad news is that his brother is dead. Sorry bro. Like, this doctor legitimately does not care. He's just there to do his 9 to 5 and get out. And to be fair, it doesn't seem like Jack cares either, because he never really reflects on his brother's death at all. Like, to Mitch, if something happened like 2 seconds ago, it just doesn't concern him anymore. Also, the doctor mentions that his brother was killed by something and not someone, highlighting that the doctor understands that something strange has happened but still doesn't bother to call the police or the Ghostbusters. Like, does anyone care in this town? The story then ends with the following. My parents took me back to Edwin's house to collect my remaining belongings, which I did. Upon entering my room, I was scared but remained calm. I grabbed my camera and then stopped dead in my tracks. In the hallway leading to my room, I saw Edwin's body and something small lying next to it. I retrieved it up and entered my parents' car, not mentioning Edwin's corpse. I looked at the thing that I picked up and nearly vomited. Yeah, I was holding my stolen half kidney with some black substance on it. Okay, so after everything that happened, Mitch goes back to his house alone. His parents don't even come with him. Like, bro has no survival instincts of any kind. Then he goes into the hallway and we learn that his brother Edwin is lying dead in the hallway. Like, where are the police, the paramedics, the firefighters, the gosh darn coroners? The doctor, Mitch, and I would assume the parents are aware that Edwin died and no one bothered to call anyone? Edwin is just lying dead in his home, rotting, and his parents are waiting outside in the car like nothing happened? I mean, did their credit card get denied by the undertaker? So they're just gonna leave him there? They also don't even go into the house to retrieve the body themselves or his belongings or anything. And then Mitch, instead of maybe feeling some sadness or wrapping his brother's body in a sheet or something, instead picks up some random thing lying next to his brother, goes outside to his parents, doesn't even mention Edwin's corpse, and then realizes that he's holding his half-eaten kidney covered in black substance. Okay, first of all, how do you even know that's your kidney? And why didn't you realize that when you picked it up? And why aren't you giving a crap about your brother? Like my brother in Christ, Edwin gave you a home when you became homeless, despite not seeing you for 10 years. He was happy to live with you. He took you to the hospital when you were first attacked, and then you just left him to rot in his own home. Everyone in this story besides Edwin is a sociopath. The doctor announces to Mitch that he has lost his kidney and that his brother died but doesn't seem to be too concerned about it. He simply just says sorry. The police are never alerted about the stolen kidney or the murder of his brother. The dead body of his brother is left in the house and Mitch doesn't even tell anyone about it. His parents don't even go into the house to see their son either. Honestly, I'm convinced that the doctor is Eyeless Jack and that he's put a spell on everyone. It's the only reasonable explanation for this behavior. Honestly, justice for Edwin. And well, that's really the story. It's a short one and leaves a lot more questions than answers. I mean, why did Eyeless Jack leave the half-eaten kidney in the home? Like, dude, finish your food, man. And why doesn't Mitch tell anyone about Edwin's body? And why does he just leave with the kidney? Also, why did it attack Mitch when he moved in? Edwin doesn't seem familiar with the creature and therefore we can assume that it's never bothered him before. We have no idea on why no one calls the police. And how come everyone is aware that Edwin is dead but no one even bothers to recover his body? Why did Eyeless Jack kill his brother? And why doesn't he confront Mitch when he returns to home? I doubt that a paranormal creature would want to leave witnesses. I don't know, man. This is one of the weirdest creepypastas that I've ever read. And honestly, that kind of makes it even creepier. I mean, the fact that everyone acts so unnatural and strange kind of adds to the horror atmosphere in a way. Lets you know that this world is strange and something wrong has happened. That you're in the uncanny valley. But well, that's it for Eyeless Jack in my analysis. Conclusion. Like I said before, the writer actually issued an apology for this last year. I guess the criticism really got to him. Like this story actually destroyed him. So I suppose the true horror of Eyeless Jack is the effect that it's had in the real world. I mean, one good thing that I can say about this story is I didn't inspire real world murders like Slender Man and Jeff the Killer did. So I guess it gets a point for that. Anyway, that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do feel bad for the writer. It's obvious that he wrote this when he was a kid and had no understanding of anything. But despite all of that, I do find this story to be entertaining in a horror comedy type of way. If you did enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And have a great day.